Hey everybody, welcome to My Green Pets. I'm William Green. Rex season is fully underway. Let's have a look at the plants that are in bloom, plants that are in bud, and see what else we can get into this week. Alright, first up is Iliapou. Iliapou's flowers lasted just about 2 weeks, and you can see they've already faded considerably. The color in the lip is kind of blurring out like a bleeding watercolor. And these came out pretty nice. But the next plant that has bloomed is looking a little bit nicer in terms of form. Let's have a look. Alright, check this baby out. First bloom seedling. And let's see, it's 2022. These were deflashed in 2014 to give you an idea of how long it took. This is Qoyllur, and that means star in Quechua, and you can just call it star because Qoyllur is not easy to pronounce. But I am really encouraged. The form on this plant is really looking pretty nice. Look at those dorsals. Dorsal sepals sticking straight up there. Now, will it stay up? Probably not. It'll probably start to reflex over the next few days. AOS judging is next Saturday. If the flowers looked like this next Saturday, I'm kind of hopeful they might get something. But again, usually what happens is after a few days, this dorsal sepal just starts to go all the way back. And they are not going to award any Cattleya flowers with dorsal sepals that reflex back. Cool thing is this plant has another sheath, and you can see the buds in there ready to push. So when it's all bloomed out, it's going to be 6 flowers total on 2 spikes. And yeah, really encouraged. First bloom seedling, not bad at all. My largest Cattleya Rex, this is Urku. It means mountain. And you can see it's just popped open its first flower of the season. Doesn't want to focus. Here we go. And it's going to have 4 this year. This is way fewer than last year. Last year it had 4 flowers on each spike, and it had 3 spikes last year. So something's, I don't want to jinx it. I feel like something's up with this plant. The bulbs are shriveled. No matter what I do, they don't really plump up that much. So anyway, Urku. I would love to be able to divide this plant, but the problem is it's mounted on a piece of wood that's stuck in a pot, so now the roots are all stuck to the wood and to the pot. So it would be pretty devastating to the plant unless I could just somehow saw the wood in half as I saw the rhizome in half too. I don't know what I'm going to do. But eventually the plant will just start growing out of the pot, and it'll be easy to take divisions up. But alright, another first time bloomer. This one is going to be Puyu is the name. The name means cloud in Quechua language. Quechua is spoken in the places where Cattleya Rex is found in Peru. And this one looks like it's going to have at least 3 on it. Really excited about that one. This one has completely surprised me. I did not think that this one was going to bloom since the growths are so small. But this is turning out, I mean, it may get bigger as it gets older, but it's quite a compact little plant. But it's actually got 2 sheaths on it. This one here, and then this leaf kind of came out a little wonky, but there are actually buds in that sheath as well. So I will have to figure out what the Quechua name for this one will be. Probably going to be Ritzi, which means snow. But we'll see. I have to look at my list. I have all their names predetermined in order of bloom. So that is exciting. We might get 2 spikes off this plant as a first time bloom. Looking forward to seeing what those come out to look like. And then take a little trip over to the back here. We've got the star of the show. For me, this is thus far my favorite of the collection. This is Inti. Not only is Inti so far had the biggest, nicest flowers, you can see the new growth of the sheath popping up there. It was the largest plant when the flask was opened. So this plant was significantly larger than all the others. So it's always been bigger. It's had a few setbacks over the years. I've repotted it and messed up the roots a few times. So if it hadn't been disturbed, it probably would have been a lot bigger now. But it's just been a rank grower, and it's had really wonderful big blooms. And every time it's bloomed, I have pollinated it because I want this plant to spread its wild seed and have lots of babies. Right now there are lots of flasks at Myers Conservatory with Inti as a parent. So those are available for reservation if you haven't got one yet. But that is some good parentage. And this pod is actually Inti by Mayu, and Mayu got a AOS Flower Quality Award last year, so that's exciting. And hopefully those flowers will have qualities of both parents, nice form and also big size. But yeah, going back to this one, Qoyllur, looking very nice. Gonna take some pictures of this guy later today. Really excited that my Bulbophyllum echinolabium HAL has got a new growth, and that really looks like a growth at this point. It's starting to look kind of spoon shaped, and I think if it were a flower spike it would be a little pointier. So I'm really encouraged that it is going to be a new growth. He really needs to put out a new bulb. A lot of his old bulbs are kind of spotty and wrinkly, and I actually took some older bulbs off of HAL when I repotted them, and I didn't see any signs of anything shady, no nasty purple ring or anything when I pulled the bulbs apart. It was just all kind of white inside. So I'm hoping that he can grow happily in this new potting situation, put out a nice new bulb, new roots, and hopefully fill up those old bulbs and start looking like his former self. I chose to pot it this way because my Bulbophyllum medusae over here is potted the same way and has just done so well in terms of roots. Just great. All kinds of roots all over the place. Impossible to see right now because there's leaves in the way. But it's just, it's a basket with granite rocks in the bottom and then a thin layer of just fine bark on top. And that enables me to water it every day, but then it dries out pretty quickly. So I can just keep watering it, but it doesn't stay mushy. Plenty of air around it. Seems to be working pretty well. Another little Bulbophyllum. This is Lovely Elizabeth. Bulbophyllum Lovely Elizabeth is putting out a nice new growth there, and has rooted really well in just a very shallow tray with holes in the bottom. And this is actually in coarse bark. Just kind of sat it on top there, but it really rooted well. And again, I can water that pretty frequently, but it also dries out pretty frequently. So encouraged that HAL hopefully will do the same and do really well in this mix. Alright, let's look at these Catasetums. How many of you are excited about Catasetum season this year? Both of these are Rebecca Northern Grapefruit Pink, clone that's been around for decades. And this is from a division sent to me from an orchid board member last fall. And those tiny little bulbs are putting out nice new growth, and can't wait to see what those look like. Hopefully they'll bloom this year. Right behind it we got Cycnoches or Cycnoches. I really go back and forth with how I pronounce this guy. Cooperi. Nice growth pushing out there, and I have started to just kind of gently wet the media on the side there, and it kind of drips down and it kind of gets everything so that it's not crispy. It's still pretty dry, but it's just not crispy. It's just barely got a little dampness in there. Right next to it we got Cycnodes One Delight pushing up a nice new growth. That thing's got great roots. And then over here we got another Rebecca Northern. This is from last year's release of the cross from Sunset Valley Orchids. It bloomed for me. I didn't really like the flowers. They smelled good, but they were very closed, and I want the flowers to be open. I don't like that half closed look. So I'm gonna let that one bloom one more time this year, and then we might be getting rid of it if the flowers don't look any better. And then behind it we have my awarded HCC Mormodia Jumbo World. 2 growths pushing out there. This one, the growth came out right at the top of the bulb there. Roots everywhere. Again, I've been giving this one a little misting here and there. No soaking or anything like that, but just a little mist, a little bit of water here and there. And no perceived ill effects. And hopefully those roots are going to get down to that medium. It's in a nice big pot now, so has room to spread. And yeah, Catasetinum season. These guys are quickly going to take over this corner of the tent. But my plan is just to kind of leave them as they are and not move anything around too much. Alright, this plant normally lives in the bottom of the tent, but I went ahead and pulled it out to show you guys. It was sold to me by Carter & Holmes as Malaxis latifolia. So then I looked that up, and it is listed as Diania ophridis, and then Orchid Species says that orchidspecies.com says that it's Malaxis ophridis. And so I'm not sure. I'm going with the Malaxis ophridis, but anyway, Malaxis species tend to be terrestrial orchids with these long spikes of tiny flowers. And this plant, its clonal name is Cheshire because in Chinese it's called the Cattail Orchid. You can kind of see why. And it's super easy to grow. It goes dormant in the winter. You can see during the winter this is all you have is the bulb. And then, if you can believe, this started growing just the beginning of February. So February, March, basically 2 months it's able to do this. They're very quick growers. And then this spike will continue to grow for the next 4 months or so. It's really up to you. They kind of get leggy, and it's really at its most beautiful right when the spike comes out. Kind of gets kind of leggy after a while, so it's really up to you what you want to do if you want to cut it off. But it's kind of a fun thing to do. And I've got this thing will produce babies all along its bulb. Like in the fall, you'll just see these little babies come off and just fall off. So I've got 4 of those in little 2-inch pots right now that I'm going to get them rooted and get them growing, and then I'm going to sell those guys off. Just kind of an unusual thing. I imagine if I had a greenhouse, I could even like plant them in the soil at like the ground level of the greenhouse, and then you just have kind of like an orchid that lives in there. But anyway, let's look at the little babies real quick. Yeah, so here they are. They're quite small, but you can see they're starting to come up. And as soon as they're quick. That's done that just in the past couple days. But those will start to root, and then they will look like their mama here, little smaller versions of their mama. And then it might take them a year or 2 to get up to size, but then they will be ready to bloom. Kind of a cool little terrestrial, but also deciduous orchid. Cattleya Walkeryana. We are still trying to figure out if this thing is going to bloom or not. Like, come on. I mean, it seems like this part down here seems pretty fat. Like maybe there's something in there. Maybe there's buds they're going to push up into here at some point. But right now, this part is just empty. I mean, it's definitely a spike, right? But are there buds? Will it flower, or is it just going to do this and stop? I don't know. It is working on something else over here. So again, don't know. It's rooting nicely. Although, while the last year's bulb looks okay, the previous year's bulbs are a little, kind of leathery, like, I don't know, kind of dehydrated or something. I don't know. I don't know if this plant is healthy, basically, is what I'm trying to tell you. But it would be nice to get a flower out of it. Okay, let's look at the seedlings real quick. So right here we got Hardiana. Just finished a nice new growth. Look at that purple color right here. That is exciting. Hardiana is Varsovicii by Dowiana. Then we got lots of seedlings. This is a Dowiana rosita, growing like crazy. All four of these. Dowiana Oreyes, and then the Rexes from Peru Flora. And then we got some Blossfeldianas. More Rexes from Peru Flora. 5 different variety of Cattleya Rex, all in a big grab bag. Hopefully that's what I got. And then this is a splash variety. Several of these guys. And then these are some more Rexes of an unknown variety. And then these are also Rexes. These are the furthest along of the little Rex seedlings. Really strong growers. So yeah. That is the collection for this week. Thank you for stopping by. Stephen Van Campen-Lewis and I are planning on doing another chat next week. We're going to talk about things like how to get your plant to produce more flowers. We're also going to discuss the pathology report for this plant. It was diagnosed as having a fungal infection. We're going to talk about what to do about that and all kinds of other fun things. So, hope to see you then. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time right here on My Green Pets. I'm William Green. Take care. Bye.